Kristen, can you hear me?
Unmute with this.
Oh, hi. Yes, I can.
All right. So who do we? I'm just getting used to this new. As soon as I got used to Zoom, you've tricked me.
I told you.
It's what I do, Mike. It's one of my favorite things. I got to keep you on your toes.
Well, Kokopelli, the famous Indian, was a trickster. Who's on the phone? Who else is here with us? A D? Who's D? Kristen, who else is here?
It's me, Mike. I'm here.
Oh, just you. I mean, especially you, brother.
Yeah, I had to come, so it looks like the room is full.
You know the sports show, Pardon the Interruption?
Yes.
Yeah, they come in with little, mock-ups.
Oh, for the put in the back? Right. How you been?
Well, taking care of business, like mediating and trying to keep the lid on it.
Okay, so as long as you're keeping busy.
Well, that's not a problem. I got 3 Mo'opuna in the house. Boy, they're all at St. Louis, and they have a lot of fun.
Okay.
Who's going to be there today? You and Kristen, that's it?
That's it?
That's enough.
Oh, I don't know. Martha said she might be coming.
Okay. And it says here there's a D. Who's D? Is that you?
No, that's I think that's a guest. So anybody can join anytime. We don't have to let people in individually.
Okay.
Yeah. I sent some stuff. Bob Merce sent some stuff. We need to make sure it gets into the chat. I don't know how to get it into the chat on this function.
I can do that. I can do that.
Yeah, that needs to be in them. Las Colinas is at Santee in California. It looks like a real good program. Bob Merce is here. Hi, Bob.
Hey, how you doing, Mike?
Boy, they let anybody in these meetings, you know.
they're totally indiscriminate.
That's
how
the
do
whole
I get
point.
my
Transparency. The only good thing that I learned in law school, Bob, is the only free speech is the speech you hate.
Mike, am I on video?
You were. Now you are, yes.
Oh, I am?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You gotta have that people to number. Oh, you know it's good. Yeah, you create a meeting. It should be giving you a number if you have that capability.
Is there a function here that tells me the number of guests? I see a DD. I see you physically. I see Mark.
Yeah, there's only 4 of us in right now. I mean, we have gone a little early. We still have 5 minutes before the meeting starts.
Yep, but usually there's a thing that says participants on Zoom. Maybe this doesn't have that.
At the top end, if you're on the app, it should say people.
Okay.
It's going to be a little bit different on the web browser. I'm not sure if you're on the app or the web browser.
Hey, Martha.
When you brought your things up, if you didn't have.
Hey.
You might have got the agenda.
I'm so sorry. No, go ahead.
Okay.
Hi, Martha. Mike here.
Hi, Mike.
I'm going to give Ron.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Martha.
Bob.
Hey, Mark.
Hi, yeah.
How you doing, Bob?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you. How'd you know who I was? Because they said hi?
Yeah. That's the only reason why.
One of the good things about, meeting live, I was just sharing with, you guys can't see our guests here, but now that we have an oversight coordinator, we have Attorney General tech people here helping us now. And I was sharing with them that I did it for 2 years. So I'm sitting here happy not doing anything.
You did it well, Mark. For 2 years, you did a great job.
Without the tech knowledge, but it's okay. Now I learn. So
Yeah, there were very few glitches over a 2-year period. That's something to be proud of.
Yeah, no, there's gonna be glitches.
Hi, Kat.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What's up, Cat?
Lots of great stuff. Working on lots of important issues.
That's your normal, Kat. Right?
Yep, it is.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Martha.
Hi, Kat.
How you feeling?
I used your name in vain. I suggested to Kristen to get familiar with the legislative website, that
Yeah.
you would be a great teacher. So if you could help us that way, I'm sure you're much more adept at it than I am.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, we're going to meet on Monday.
Oh, okay. Great.
How you feeling?
I just had cataract surgery done 3 weeks ago and I can see.
Yeah.
I know. Isn't it amazing? The colors?
Yes.
Wow.
And so now
The
I gotta
world
figure
in-
out, I have to figure out how to take that wearing glasses just restriction off my license.
Yeah.
Because I don't need them.
For today.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, well, they should have electronically, and then that is today's agenda. This is the language, I think Martha's gonna do it,
I'll
but,
make the motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so this is the exact language to use, to motion in the meeting. Because last time I gave you guys the wrong info, so this time I made sure. And then Martha, so you know.
How do you
the
want
language.
to handle this?
How do we want to handle it?
Yeah.
You just bring it up as a topic and we quote the law.
Mhm.
And do we have I can look up the law.
Okay.
Quote the law.
Yeah,
It's every year it's supposed to be reevaluated.
yeah.
Okay.
And
And
it
then
doesn't,
you
and
ask
it doesn't
whether
mean
anybody.
it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it doesn't have to be you. You can.
There was there's actually a twinkle of hope there, but we'll see. I'm sorry, go ahead with the last one you said.
Okay, so for the motion language. Hi.
Hi, Lisa.
So, for the facility tours. So you guys can choose as to whether, like, the location is dangerous for health and safety or that the on-site inspection is necessary. I personally think it is applicable to both, but whichever one you choose, you just have to make sure that when you discuss it, like, you literally use
You
that
can use them
language.
both.
Yeah. In the law, it's listed as or, but I don't think it matters as long as, like, it's specific.
Morning, Ted.
If you're going to a sewer place or something like that,
Yeah.
where it's necessary in public attendance, it's
Yeah.
impractical.
Yeah. Okay. I'm still missing Ron. I tried to give Ron a call.
The third Thursday in September would be.
Did I mess it up?
No, it's gonna be, so I'm gonna make it on the, I'll talk about it. I
Okay.
just noticed it because I wanted to look at the date.
Yeah.
We're gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping we could still hop on remotely, but we
22nd.
gotta.
Oh. Okay, let's think about it. Yeah, okay.
But yeah, it'll be a little tough, I think.
We can tentatively schedule.
Oh,
for the
I ended up
15th,
with 2 of these.
and then we can figure out on the agenda what the 15th looks like.
Okay.
Because I think the correction day is like Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah. I think you're right. Can you let them know that we will start very short? I'm gonna try to give Ron a call.
Okay.
We're gonna find out if Microsoft Teams works on the Big Island right now.
We're looking for Ron.
We're looking for Ron.
It
So
better.
Haleakala might be in the way, so
I see Kevin. What's up, Kev?
just standing by a couple more minutes.
Kevin, you're in a Big Island, huh?
The fuse we had.
Your microphone's off, Kevin. Kevin, put your mic on so we can hear. Are you on the Big Island?
How's that? Is that working?
Nice
Yes.
Yeah.
background, Mike.
Okay. I'm not used to WebEx. I'm a Zoom guy.
Me too.
Okay, because we're trying to get in touch with Ronnie Barr, and we're wondering if the Big Island's connected to this new system that we're using.
Well,
Far
is
as I know,
Kona
it's
on the
all
Big
good.
Island, or is that separate?
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, I didn't know the other one cost money.
Hi, Kevin.
Oh, that's public safety, Tony.
You mentioned something, you sent me an email about sitting on a panel with Karen Reed in September. Is that still going on?
That was a safer date, but we had to move it to November.
Okay.
I'm
so interested.
Yeah, okay.
Want to see Karen too?
Did you see that stuff I sent you about the Jedi? I mean, Carol
Yes.
Matsuoka's report?
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yep. I gotta see Carol. I haven't seen her in years now.
You know, I've known her. I've never known her official title, but she told me she's a program specialist.
Yeah, that's
But
interesting.
she has been the
Jedi the whole
facilitator.
time.
Yeah,
The whole time, yeah.
I thought so. Because when they were coming to me about the zero, I really didn't know how to. I knew it was all front end, and I
Oh,
was sending it to like probation, yeah, and girls' court and stuff.
saying to, 4 tech guys left, it's saying to be guest of Hawaii Wi-Fi, you need to be on a list of authorized users for this network. How do I get out of this? I just want to use.
And Mark, can I ask a procedural? We're going to discuss Kristen's report today because I have it and I read it and I have questions.
It's a line item, number 5.
I'm in. Thank you.
Yes.
God,
Thank you
how
for
do
your
I get out
patience,
of
everyone.
this?
What's up, Tommy?
Hey, we're here. I'm just gonna turn the camera off until you guys have a question for us until we're up, okay?
Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you.
Is Max coming, Tommy?
Shit, I can't get onto the
Nope,
internet.
he's off today, so it's just me here today, so be gentle, please.
You're the nose tackle. I know you.
I'm really a delicate flower.
I got moved to safety in football. I like being safety.
So it'll be CJ's phone and then that's the password. Oh, not on the state of Hawaii. This is my own, so you'll find it different.
Okay.
So when you go into internet settings, it should say CJ's phone.
Oh, look, my. Oh, no, that's only like.
I'm wondering if
Okay,
a lot of
I
people
know.
are having problems.
Are
So
we
this-
missing a lot of people that we normally have?
If this screen is showing everybody, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we usually have 20 to 30.
20 to 30 people.
Yeah.
And what is
I'm not
this?
complaining, but I don't want Lisa to get. Oh no, we don't. Lisa don't get emails anymore,
So
right?
we have 14 in here,
Okay.
but not, is that low? Yeah, it is.
It is low.
More like
Ah, damn it. I need you to reconnect your phone. I didn't go fast enough.
Just a few more minutes, everyone, and then
And
we'll
does it have to be
begin.
capitals
Thank
where it
you
has
for your
capital and
patience.
stuff?
I know Cassie,
Has to
she
cap-
and Carrie Ann wanted to be on. I don't know if they know how to get on.
I'm here, yes. It did take me a little bit longer to get on this morning to figure out Microsoft Teams, but I'm here, so thank you.
Who's this, Cassie?
This is Cassie.
All right, welcome.
Carrie Ann will not be at the meeting today. She texted me.
Okay. So,
Okay, you.
okay, so hopefully, if there's any issues, people will either reach out to any of you or reach out to any of us. Feel free to interrupt if you know that somebody's trying to get in and they can't. And I can always step out and try to work with them. We have Lisa here too, who is willing to help out as well. So, but thank you all for the patience, for your patience. I know this is a big change, but I'm hoping that it'll help with smoother processes as far as getting the recordings faster and getting everything up faster. And so I appreciate your guys' patience while we work through it.
I can't get on.
Okay.
So Ron's not on it.
Yeah, I tried.
It's saying that it's locked. Oh, give me the password again.
Yep.
Why does that have to be so complicated? Why can't you just write a sentence?
Okay, everybody. Thank
Yeah.
you. Again, we apologize for the technical difficulties. We have an oversight coordinator, so, you know, we can't be all that picky right now. As long as we have the coordinator, we can have other issues as well. So right now, I guess we could kind of open up a bit. Start this meeting. Aloha, kakayaka, mai kako. Thank you everyone for being here at this August meeting of the Hawaii Correctional System Oversight Commission. Now, just for the purposes, I see Ted, Sakai, Mike Town, Martha Thorney, and what we're still waiting for Ronald to be a part of this meeting. He's the only one that's presently not on the. And then, of course, myself, Mark Patterson, all present.
I will give you a call right now.
Commissioners, you may have received
Okay, yep, that sounds good.
the minutes of our last meeting. I'm really happy to announce we have minutes. We have to mark this date, August 18th, 2022, as the first day that we have minutes to review. You should have received it electronically. Can you review that real quick? And I'll take a motion to accept.
And the minutes reflect really it gives the titles and it says where on the recording you would find more information on that. So they're not like very in-depth minutes.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate what Martha says. On the website, you will find the recordings of the meeting. Our minutes here that we reflected. Christian, is this on the website as well?
Yeah.
The minutes are on the website as well. As you go through the agenda items of the as you go through the items on the agenda, the time references that you see at each item can be found specifically on the recording.
Yep,
Yeah.
we have, yeah. So Ron is on speakerphone.
Okay.
Awesome.
Judge Ibarra is present on speakerphone here. So all the commissioners are present and accounting for. Any further questions on the agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
What, to accept the
Accept
minutes?
it? Or we
I'm so moved.
Second.
The move by Martha Tornay and seconded by Mike Town that we accept the minutes of the Thursday, July 21st, 2022, 9 o'clock, Hawaii Correctional System Oversight Commission meeting. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Mark,
Yes,
Mark,
Ted.
I'd like to point out one technical item. It's a spelling error that needs to be corrected. On the first page and the second page, both the Fernhurst is misspelled.
FER.
Yeah, it should be FERN.
Okay, so noted.
And I believe we should also spell out the full name of the locales. It's the Fernhurst. Martha, would you know what the official name is? Fernhurst YWCA?
No, I don't. No, I don't know the whole name.
I'll find it and I will, I'll make that edit and get it reposted. Thank you, Ted.
Thank you. With that amendment, I move that the minutes be amended to so reflect what the discussion we just had.
And I second that.
Okay. We I'm sorry, I'm getting stuck right now. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and just say that round of vote again, with amendments as
No,
stated.
we already did. Ted moved, I second.
Yeah, so I'm gonna vote now.
Oh, vote.
Yeah,
okay. Sorry.
So we're gonna go ahead and vote on the amendments as reflected by Ted, on the minute. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Okay, motion passed. Okay, we're gonna move on. Thank you, everybody. That was exciting. Passing our first minutes. Sorry, guys.
We don't know how to handle it.
I don't know how to handle this. This is overwhelming. Yeah. Okay, Kat, go ahead.
Well, I just, thank you so much, Chair, and thank you so much, Commissioners. I just wanted to, the agenda needs to have a public participation at the top and at the bottom of the agenda. That is something that OIP just ruled on.
And we used to have that, and we did
Yeah.
it without their ruling.
I know, you guys are awesome.
That's the next item.
I think it's an oversight.
Yeah, no,
the-
I
the
just
full
want to make
commission
sure.
reviewed the agenda and nobody caught it. Thank you.
No,
Yeah, it is on the.
the
it's the
second
next-
one is
it's
not on the
next-
agenda. At the end, they're allowed to comment again. And we had that on our previous agendas.
This is public testimony.
So do we have to amend the agenda?
They're saying at the end, there's no.
We don't have to amend it to allow public comments at the end?
You can simply amend it to allow comments at the end, but I don't know if you need to amend the agenda to reflect that.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we should.
So I move that we add to the agenda public comments as new item 14 and move current item 14 to item 15.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, so in second that we add public testimony, item number 14 on the agenda, and move item 14 to item 15. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passed. With that being said, we're on item number 4 on our agenda, and I'll open it up for our public testimony on the agenda items that we have spoken. Let's try and keep our comments down to a minimum of 3 minutes. And
Maximum
of 3 minutes. Sorry. And then you guys can raise your hand digitally, those of you who I cannot see, so I know that you want to have a comment. Go ahead, Kat.
Aloha, Commissioners, and thank you, Chair. I am still really concerned about the deaths of pretrial detainees. Just recently, an 88-year-old man at OCCC passed away, and he was a pretrial detainee. So I just want to really focus on that. And thank you for considering this. Thank you.
Bob. Thank you, Kat.
I just wanted to say, for the record, that I sent an email to the members of the Oversight Commission regarding Las Colinas Detention Center in San Diego. One of the main purposes of having the Oversight Commission is to help transition us from a punitive to a rehabilitative system. And you cannot have a rehabilitative system in a punitive style facility. And we are on the verge of building a very, very, very punitive jail compared to anything that looks like a rehabilitative system. And so we now know that we're probably going to have Josh Green as the new governor. He won the Democratic primary, and decisions are going to have to be made regarding the new jail. And it is, as presently planned, a complete and total disaster. It looks nothing like Las Colinas or any other halfway rehabilitative facility. So I would just urge the commissioners to take a look, number one, at the 2 quick short videos that I sent. And number 2, make your top priority, or at least one of your top priorities from this moment forward, to ensure that if we build a new jail, it is a jail that looks very much like or incorporates the ideas of the Las Colinas facility, because it incorporates a lot of the best practices. And why would we spend $1 billion on a jail that does not even come close to best practices? So that's all I have to say at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Mark, could I suggest that Bob's submissions be put in the minutes or attached somehow to our what's going on here? How do we do that?
Yeah, everything that's on the during this meeting will be attached to the minutes, Mike.
And so I have a question.
Yes.
Can we put the videos that Bob forwarded us onto our website?
Yeah.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Bob, I have a question. I'm a big fan of transformative justice, which means the staff and the community and the families and the inmates get transformed. It's not a one size fits none. It's for everyone. And I don't know how Las Colinas, which means the small hills in Spanish, does that. But I looked at the video and I liked it, Bob.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, I think transformative rehabilitation, if you rehabilitate, you're transforming yourself. So I think we're talking about the same thing.
I'm talking a lot about staff, the leadership, the community, and the legislature, because they tends to come down on one side or the other. It's not the case.
No, one of the problems with the new jail, in my view, is that nobody has ever articulated from the Department of Public Safety or DAGS what the philosophy is behind the new jail. A new facility needs a new philosophy, and that philosophy needs to be expressed, and it needs to be clear, and it needs to be public. And yet we have no philosophy other than custody and control again. And that's been the whole problem for all these years. There is a new philosophy. It needs to be rehabilitative, and everybody needs to be trained in that system from the top to the bottom.
Well, Bob, the question I have, I mean, when I was a parole commissioner there for 8 years, a lot of the inmates at Halava would wear black and white stripes. Do you know of any other one in the country, any other facility that has black and white stripes other than maybe the Deep South? No offense.
Yeah.
Chain gangs.
But there are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
Shame on them.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you both.
Mark, I have a question for Kat.
Go ahead, Ted.
Kat, regarding the death at OCCC that you referred to, do you have any other details?
No, I just was in a conversation with Max after the last meeting, and I said, I'm really concerned about the deaths of pretrial detainees. And he said, people come to us in really bad shape, and we're trying to figure out what to do. Well, for 20 years, I've been trying to say, partner with community and let's create a safety net, which has been totally decimated in the last 20, 25 years. So let's create a safety net for people. So he was agreeable to that. And I have already put out a CAHEA to some service providers to see if we could create a HUI of, I asked Max to give me a list of the main problems that people at intake services see with people who are just being admitted to jail. And he sent me that list. I talked with a particular service provider, and we're putting together a group of people who handle those kinds of issues in the community. And then we're going to meet with Max to talk about how we can create that safety net so that we divert people who shouldn't be in jail to services that they desperately need.
Thank you. I was particularly interested in to see if you had any information as to where in OCCC this occurred. Was it in any kind of restrictive housing or mental health housing? Because that is a serious concern. Okay.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted.
Perhaps we can follow up on that to Kristen.
Yes.
Thank you.
And just so the commission and the audience is aware, I have requested all death investigations for the past year. So all from 2021 and then all from 2022 up to date. And so I actually just got those yesterday. And so I'm going to be reviewing, going through. And so this obviously is very relevant to that review. So I'll keep you all posted.
Thank you.
Not seeing any other hands or digital hands, I'm going to go ahead and move forward to the next item on the agenda, which number 5, which is the report of our oversight coordinator.
All right. Yeah, so the commission received my first monthly report, which I'm excited to share today. So this report, obviously I'm about to go through it now, but this will also be posted with the meeting minutes so that you all can see exactly what I've written, and just, to kind of increase transparency in that way. So this is in accordance with Act 179 for me to do this monthly report, and I'll be sending it to all the different individuals who have also appointed the members of the commission. I think it's important to keep them aware of what's going on as well. So I'm required by law to talk about actions taken for the past month, in addition to any dollars that have been spent. So I'm just going to run through this quickly. Again, you all have the opportunity to kind of review. I'm going to get the minutes posted much faster this time around, so you can all take a look. But as far as budgeting goes, so I had finalized and submitted the expenditure plan for this fiscal year. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in the next agenda item. But I've also drafted and submitted the biennium expenditure plan, which includes fiscal year 23 to 25. And so we're going to discuss that a bit more today. For facility tours, Ted has graciously attended with me for all of my first tours. So we have gone to OCCC, Halava, Waiava, and the women's facility. And for upcoming tours next week, we are going to Kalani, and then HCCC. And in September, Mark and I are actually going to be going to Saguaro. We're going to be doing 2 days there. First day, more of orientation. Second day, I'm still trying to map out what that might look like. We might do some surveys of staff and people in custody, but we're really looking forward to that. I do want to extend a special thank you to Max and Tommy. I know that oversight coming in into their space can be a little overwhelming at times, and so I really appreciate their help with facilitating, getting all these tours scheduled and helping me out while I get my feet planted. They've been a huge asset to me, so I really appreciate that. And then also all the staff who's willing to answer all of my questions and greet me right at the door. It's been a great experience so far. So I have run through some initial impressions of each facility, and I really want to highlight that these are initial impressions. These are things that stuck out in my mind after touring each facility. So these are kind of the big ticket items. I have no doubt that the Department of Public Safety is aware of these issues, and that they have been working diligently to fix these issues. But some of this, as I go through it, I don't think any of this will be new to you all. But as we know, it took years, I'm sure, to create these systemic issues, and it's going to take a little bit to fix them as well. So I just want to throw out that little caveat before I get started here. But OCCC, I highlighted 3 big issues that I potentially saw. And so there were evident staffing shortages for sure. And that's in all facilities, to be clear. But this in particular made me nervous because it was clearly affecting staff's ability to do a constant and direct observation of individuals who are on suicide watch. I believe we saw at least 10 or so. I don't remember exactly how many were on suicide watch at that time. Officers were doing 5-minute observations, which is important. But we all know that people can successfully kill themselves within a minute or less. So it's important to really have that direct observation. There's also evident overcrowding. Individuals had mattresses on the floor in the dorm settings, and then also had mattresses stored under bunk beds in cell settings. I did see a space where there were 4 individuals in a cell that was designed for 1 person, 2 max. The third thing are healthcare concerns. So the infirmary is stationed in what appeared to be a hallway. And so that kind of creates a situation where there's a lack of privacy, a lack of space, and frankly, a lack of dignity as well. So I was a little taken back by seeing that. The other part is that the clinic space in general lacked privacy. It was a very small space for clinicians to be able to talk with their patients. They had the short walls, not private offices. So I wanted to highlight that as well. Moving forward to Halava, Halava was very clearly a very high punitive design, right? It looks to me like a maximum security type of facility, which in general for the higher population, supermax or segregation, I can see, but my concern there was that there's a lack of rehabilitative design and functionality, and so that's particularly concerning for mental health patients who are housed there. In addition, it created a situation where there's pretty limited out of cell time, and that is in part due to limited staffing. The other part is that there's limited access to yards and recreation areas. And so if they're supposed to be able to get out for a long period of time for rec, or at least an hour, when you have a large unit and you only have a few rec yards, that can be difficult to navigate when nobody can really mix. So that was something that was kind of pointing out to me. Moving on to Waiava. Again, staffing shortages. The big concern with the staffing shortages in this space was that it was affecting people in custody who were able and willing to work on work lines and become active and involved in job assignments and programming. Without a lack of staff, there's a lack of supervision, and then they can't have those extra work lines that, frankly, staff want to have. There's also no cameras at Waiava, which was a little shocking to me. Massive concerns there for investigative processes regarding potential drug use in the facilities, contraband coming in, being traded, and also PREA concerns. It's very difficult to do investigations when you don't have cameras that you can go back and look at. And so I was a bit surprised to learn about that. And then the last part was, there appeared to be just a lack of bed utilization in that space. I liked Waiava. I think it has a ton of potential. It was clearly a rehabilitative space from what I was seeing. And so I'd like to see more individuals housed there because their count was quite low when we toured. So lastly, we have the women's facility. Again, none of this should be a shock. It's an extremely old infrastructure. My main concern with that was that there were some air conditioning units that were down, and staff was frantically working for a quick fix and trying to get it situated. So they were very aware. There were people on site working on it, but that created some really high heat, especially in the cell areas. But again, staff were working to get everybody outside and try to keep them out of the cell space as much as possible. They also switched a few different cell spaces around to try to navigate, getting people in cooler air. And then they also had very large fans. So they're working on it, but the infrastructure, it's just so old. That can be tough, very clearly, for staff. There's also a lack of working cameras. I believe they said over 40% of the cameras are down. That is a huge red flag for me because, again, it really affects the investigative processes for the facility staff and really prevents them from finding drug use that may be occurring, again, contraband, but arguably it just appears that there's some serious concern with being able to really look back at those cameras and see if what they're saying is true or if it's not true. And then in addition to all that, so based on all of these initial tours, I do reasonably believe that there are two issues that are affecting all facilities. And so again, staffing shortages. Staff are working a mandatory of 16 to 24-hour shifts, which I would argue is affecting their safety and also people in custody. I particularly the 24-hour shifts are tough to talk to officers about because they're expected to have all of these policies and procedures memorized, and they're expected to do very specific tours in a very specific time. You know, just their entire job is very laid out for them. And so for somebody to be expected to do that level of work in an area where your mind is already kind of on high guard just because of the setting and the space, and then you have a serious lack of sleep and potentially being overworked, that's a huge, huge concern. And it also limits out of cell time for people in custody. And this is for having out of cell time within their own units, and then also having out of cell time outdoor in the rec yards. You know, if you don't have staff to get these people out, they're just going to be locked in. And so again, another safety and mental health concern. The last issue I want to bring up, this is a big one for me, and the Department of Public Safety knows, the electronic medical record. I found out that the electronic medical record has been down since June 14th. This is causing the medical staff to rely on a paper pen-based system, and there's no real indication of when the EMR might be back up and running. Now, I do want to say that the department has been working very, very hard to find some solutions here, and Tommy's going to talk more about that. I know that he has some updates potentially for this morning about this, but my big concern is that out in the public, if the EMR goes down in a hospital for even an hour, it's an absolute crisis for everyone involved. And so for this to be down since June 14th, this creates very serious concerns, and to be able to look at the care and treatment that people have received, looking at, you know, when people are transferring to different facilities, allowing the staff to be able to really easily share all these documents for the past 2 months that they have you know, on Microsoft Word documents or on their computer. I do know that in the interim, the department has been working on, if they haven't had it already, a shared system, a shared drive, so at least staff can share documents a little bit easier. But I'm definitely looking forward to Tommy's update today, because that's a big one. I'm pretty concerned about that. With all that said, I do want to give the department some credit here. They're aware of these situations. It's very concerning to them as well. And with the staffing shortages, you know, the department specified that they're conducting day and night classes for the new recruits. They've hired dozens of emergency hires, and they had approvals to get some retirees back as temporary emergency hires. So they are trying for sure to fill those vacancies. And regarding the aging facilities, they have told me that they've continuously requested CIP, so construction improvement projects. But it's tough, right? There's only so much money to go around to everybody. And so from what they've told me, only about 10% of their requests have been approved. So obviously when it comes to these aging infrastructures, that makes it extremely difficult to keep everything up in shape. So I'm hoping that we can all work together and work with the legislature to really highlight some of these areas. And lastly, with the EMR, I know I already kind of talked about this, but they have created some interim fixes with the shared drive and whatnot. And Tommy did let me know he had more updates this morning. So I know that he can talk about that as well. And I also want to highlight that everything that I've talked about, it took years and years and years for these issues to manifest to the extent that they are now. And so I don't want to make it seem like this is an individual staff issue. I don't want to make it seem as though this is even an individual administration issue, right? This is a lot that is built up. And so, you know, but I am really looking forward to working with the commission and working with the Department of Public Safety to just continue to address these issues and find some solutions. And also obviously with the focus area of the rehabilitative mindset. So that is all my tours. The only other couple things I wanted to make a note about is the hiring process. The position for the clerical assistant has been posted. I'm so excited. We're getting our hiring moving. It was posted on August 15th, and interviews are going to be on a rolling basis until it's filled. And so I will post the link in the chat, and also it'll be in our minutes too. But if you know of anybody who's interested, please encourage them to apply. It's important work, it's great work, and I'm really excited.
Kristen, I have a question about that. You mentioned to me that the posting did not include the salary.
It does now.
Oh, it does now. Okay, so can you let the salary be known, because it's higher than a regular clerical position?
Yes, I can. I know it's just over 42,000. I I don't have I will find the exact number and I will post it in the chat. But I know it's just over 42,000. It is higher. It is higher, and there's a few reasons for that. One of the big reasons is that our clerical assistant, it's going to be an emotionally taxing job, right? They're going to be taking in complaints from people in the community, from family members, from friends, from legislators. I mean, you name it. So they're going to be hearing about potentially devastating stories on a daily basis. And so it's a lot. And then they also have to be able to take those complaints and navigate it into our upcoming, management system and figure out where they belong and which category and everything else. So they really have to have a good understanding of the correction system. And so, yeah, it's going to be hard work, but it's going to be great work. And I'm really excited to get somebody in.
And the reason I bring up the salary, if you know people might be interested, it's good for them to know that this is not a $32,000 a year job. It's higher than that.
Yeah, we were able to bump it, and which I think is great. And then obviously they will have opportunities for raises as we move through the years as well. So I'm hoping that once we get somebody, we can keep them forever. I don't want turnover in our office. But yeah, so please share. Expenses for the month, I can very briefly touch on this. The big thing that's eating into our expenses right now, but for good reason, is we have the National Association of Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement. We have the annual conference coming up. Mark has graciously accepted the invite to go with me to this conference. This year it's in Texas, and so to save some funds, what we did is we're going to go to Arizona first, so that we're trying to only pay for one off-island mainland adventure here, but we're going to go to Arizona first and tour, and then we're going to go to Texas, go to the conference, and then we'll be back on the island. So the membership and conference total for travel expenses, all that is $7,716, and then the rental, per diem, all of that is $3,930. And then other than that, our inter-island correctional facility travel has cost us $250. And again, that's for our next week trip to go to the Big Island. And that's, Ted and I will be going to that. So again, I know this is a lot of information I just threw at you all, but this will be available on the website hopefully shortly after the meeting. And so, you guys can all take a closer look. And if you have any questions or concerns or anything that come up after the meeting, please feel free to contact me anytime. I'd be happy to chat. And that is it for my report.
Ted, any comments?
Yeah, I had, as Kristen said, I was with her on all of the tours, and I had a couple of more overarching type impressions. And Kristen and I have discussed this. And one of them, the first one, I've put forth to the commission via email, and that is when we got to Waiava, the population was 105, and the capacity was 334. So there are like at less than a third of capacity. And what really particularly struck me is that I believe when we were at Halava, the staff there was talking about another transfer of inmates to Arizona. So, we've talked about this before in these meetings. Why are we sending more inmates to Arizona when we have so many empty beds at places like Waiava? And by the way, I checked, Kulani was less than 100 on August 8th. So just for the public, my proposal is that we somehow, this is a very, very complex issue, as it's been going on for a while. And my proposal was that when we come to the budget, we discuss the feasibility of perhaps bringing in somebody with expertise in classification systems or inmate programming systems to look at what's going on. On August 8th, which was the last population report I saw from the department, about 80% of Hawaii's sentenced felons and parole violators were housed in medium or maximum security settings. Martha, you may help me with, you may be able to help me with this, but I think the rule of thumb is that something like 40 to 50% should be housed in such settings. So something is very much askew.
And I agree with you. It's supposed to be between 40 and 50% should be in minimum or community settings.
I see, yes. And we are far under that. The so
What
that's one.
What are you quoting on that 40 to 50%?
Just general knowledge,
Okay.
because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
lots of trainings and stuff.
yeah.
It doesn't make sense to have such a great number, a great percentage in secure settings, especially when we have empty beds and these other ones. So classification is part of it, but also moving inmates through the system is another thing that has to be looked at.
Also, every time we put an inmate, we keep an inmate in the bed at Saguaro, it's an out-of-pocket cost.
Mhm.
The second big impression I got was at the women's facility, where we were given a handout where the now the commission's official capacity for the women's facility is 260, but the handout that we were given shows a capacity of 341. So there's something that's not quite jiving for me. So I took a closer look, and what they're doing is they're counting beds like the infirmary and segregation unit as part of the capacity. And I think that we need to assure that these beds are not meant as permanent housing.
Right.
Nobody should be in segregation more than X number of days. And there's a whole set of procedures that attend when somebody's in segregation. But the more, so that's one thing. And I understand the difficulty they have in managing the population day to day with all of the separation issues that come with any correctional facility, making sure inmates are segregated, housed according to classification level, programs, et cetera, et cetera. But the other big thought I had was that if we visit, the one thing that really struck me at the women's facility was the new facility is being built. I understand it's about maybe a year behind schedule, so but I'm not sure. But it really changes the whole physical makeup of the facility. If some of you who are familiar with the women's facility can envision where the Ahiki Cottage is toward the Waimanalo side, there was a big open area. That area is gone. There's a building that kind of looms over that right now. Now, bear with me. I'm going to walk you through some numbers again. Like I said earlier, the current established capacity for WCCC is 260. The new facility will bring another 168 beds. In addition, I'm told that there's another building that's being renovated that's going to add another 40 beds. So that's 200 and, what did my numbers show? 208 more beds to bring a total capacity to 468. The population on August 8th at WCCC was 201, and there were 125 pretrial women at OCCC, and they're supposed to move to the women's facility when the new building is completed, which will bring a total count of 326. So, you know, I just threw out a suggestion off the top of my head that it might be a good time for the facility to reconsider how it houses the various inmates and how they program various inmates, because they should have excess capacity. This might be a good opportunity for the department to start looking at some of these cottages that are pretty run down. For example, in one cottage, the air conditioning is gone, and that's of serious concern. But perhaps with the new facility, we can start to close cottages and consolidate our populations. This will not only lessen the perimeter, but also lower the staffing need. So anyway, these are big concerns that overarching concerns that I had. Let me see. I echo Kristen's sentiments on the EMR. One thing I'd like to add on the EMR is that many times the department is dependent on outside providers, that they specialists especially, and you know, when you send somebody to a specialist, they want to see your record, and without a full record, it might be difficult for a specialist to provide the type of care that's really needed. So the EMR is a critical issue. So anyway, those are my concerns.
You know, Ted, the number you just gave us for the size of the expanded women's facility based on the August 8th population, that would hold all the women currently incarcerated in the state. All the women.
Yeah. Yeah. But obviously, you know, the women on the neighbor islands
Are not
really,
going to come.
yeah, they're not going to come.
It's clearly too big. Clearly too big.
And if I'll add a little bit to that. You know, this last legislative session, there's a lot of women reform bills that were passed.
Yes. Thank you, Mark. Yeah.
So we see how that's going to affect the overall planning. That goes into the effect when you build something, you should be looking at the reforming the system as well. So you can really get an accurate amount of the beds that you need and not over. And I always say it, and I'll just say it one more time, they built the jail for the youth facility, and they have single digit numbers in there now because they also invested heavily into reform. Yeah. So that's just an example that's already happening in Hawaii. Mike, you have any comments?
Yeah, if I could. I'm not sure quite how to ask this, but I'll just ask it. I need to ask Kristen and Ted, are you talking directly to the wardens? And the reason I say it is as we move from a punitive to rehabilitative to restorative justice to transformative, it seems to me that the leaders have to be aboard. And how do we do? Are we going to do that? Is that happening? I ask this very cautiously because I don't want to, but I think the wardens have to be the leaders here. Maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah. Oh, Ted, did you want to?
Yeah, on each tour, the acting warden, now at every one of these 4 facilities, the warden is acting. The acting warden accompanied us. And I think that's a situation that I don't know how the department got there. I understand
Requirements.
the difficulty, but at each facility, the warden was really concerned with the day-to-day thing, the day-to-day problems they had, the repairs that had to be made, making sure contractors were there and getting paid, balancing the budget. There are 1,001 mundane things, the seemingly mundane things that they have to take care of every day. For example, at the women's facility, the lack of air conditioning in one of the cottages is a big concern. In fact, I should raise that, Kristen. The place that's most impacted is the mental health unit, where inmates are housed in single cells, and there's a big fan in there. The noise alone in that corridor makes the whole unit uninhabitable.
Oh.
So, but you know, the warden is very concerned. He's trying to resolve that the best he can. So this is where the warden's focuses are. Now, the one area where is one facility where the warden seems to be more attuned to programming is Waiava. The acting warden is a longtime Waiava employee, and when we raised the issue of the low population, he said, without hesitation that certainly he could use more inmates and he would want more inmates there because there are things that he could do. For example, you know, he had to cut back on some of the work in the farm because he doesn't have enough inmates to work.
Well, thank you. I know I would have guessed Waiaba has a good lens of rehabilitation or transformation, given my years on the parole board. And I would have guessed some other facilities. Maybe I can or cannot mention. I never saw the warden once in 8 years of being a parole commissioner, except in a couple of them. We certainly saw Kulani. We certainly saw Waiaba. And I think these wardens have to be more hands-on because I'm not impressed. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, Mike. I will say that whenever I tour, regardless if the warden is able to tour with me or not, I always stop in before the tour. One, to let them know that I'm there and just out of respect. But two, I always stop in after the tour just to go over any of these big ticket items or real important issues I'm seeing. Every warden who we've talked to, it's very evident and clear to me that the staff, they care very deeply. They don't want these issues either, right? And so, you know, I think that this is a multifaceted. I think all these issues are multifaceted, and so, but absolutely working with the wardens and working with downtown and basically anybody who will take a call from me is the intention.
Ronald, do you have any comments?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Can you hear me, Mark?
Yes. Ted,
Yeah,
can you hear him?
Sure, and thanks, Kristen, for setting this audio up. But first of all, yes, thank you for this first report after what we started in 2019. We have a first report to the and the way I look at this report is a start to educating the policymakers that be familiar when we go in to testify on legislation and things like that to try to change the system. Hopefully, these folks, the policymakers, the executive branch, the Chief Justice, OHA, and all these folks have some background already, so we don't have to educate them anew. And so it's my belief that, you know, this is a good start for education. Having said that, I go back to, you know, my favorite issue is pretrial population. And certainly, overcrowding is one of our charge under the Act 179. And I appreciate the conclusion that certainly there's overcrowding, but to educate the people that are also sharing in this report, the governor, the Chief Justice, and hopefully those folks would share this report. And I hope particularly the Chief Justice would share this report that would show overcrowding. And hopefully, Kristen, you can add in pretrial overcrowding versus post-conviction so that the judges who see this report can have this information in making their decisions. And certainly, I commend Christian for going and Ted to go into the prison system and getting feedback. But I would hope that Christian, you would put the amount of overcrowding every month, you know, like the capacity versus actual. And so the Chief Justice or these folks that look at these numbers can see whether it's improving month to month or not. But thank you.
Thank you, Ronald. Martha?
I just hope that as we move forward, that the Administration of Public Safety can understand what assistance we can provide in the legislature in testifying for these very things that need to be repaired, that are mandatory for operating a system that is clean, safe, and effective. And I really think we can work hand in hand with some of these issues with the department.
Not right now. We're gonna wait further on to have more further discussion when we bring public safety questions.
Great.
But I did want to say, commissioners, it's been it's literally been 2 years, and probably every meeting that I would sit up here and I would say we don't have staff. We don't have staff, and there's no doubt in the last half hour. We all know we have staff now. We have staff. And I'm sitting here and I'm just impressed with the first month on the job. Really, very insightful of everything that she saw just walking in the prison the first time. Yeah, and sharing with us professionalism with which she handled herself, walking through there and then just presenting this report. A lot of it's not what we didn't know. Some of it we knew, and some we didn't know. But it's understanding what Martha and the other commissioners have said, and I agree with all of you. It's as she finishes the facilities, Arizona, Big Island, Maui, and Kauai, it's really looking at how do we look at it from the eye view and try to solve and not pick on each individual facility. Yeah, this is indeed we're at the point now where we truly understand what the partnership between the commission and public safety is going to look like and how we can begin, because now it's how do we develop the relationship, yeah, and how do we serve each other in moving forward to creating that safe and well environment and transformation as well. So I'm very grateful for that report. We have a lot of firsts today. August 18th, we might have gatherings on this day in the future, but that was a very impressive report. I know you guys, by just listening to what you presented, it gives us some good insight and a lot of confidence in how we're going to move forward right now. So thank you, Christian, for that report. That report will eventually be, if I heard you correctly, when we have the minutes of the meeting, it will be attached. Yeah, okay. All right, we're going to move on, and we may touch on this subject again later in the agenda. We don't want to get caught up too much unless it's something really important that we need to deal with, but understanding we're finding these things out as we begin to have our tours of these facilities.
I also think another difference in having a staff, our meetings will be longer, folks.
Yeah.
Because we will have a lot more information to discuss.
And plus, and then we're doing a lot of housekeeping. So agenda number 6 is, now that we have a staff, we're being told what we wasn't doing. Okay, so every year, annual, we need to select a new chairperson.
It doesn't have to be new.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to change.
Okay, a chairperson.
It says in our statute, 353 LA, that we shall annually elect a chairperson. And so we just have to make sure we visit this each year. And again, it doesn't mean that someone can't be a chair for a long period of time. It just means every year we have to have an annual election.
So we're looking for volunteers. Just if you're interested, just call. So or look at us. Mike, you interested?
No way. Thank you.
All right, Ted, just want to make it official.
Ted, your mic is off.
Muted.
Was that
I respectfully decline.
Oh, I thought that was
If nominated, I will not run. If elected, I will not serve.
Ronald?
I'm not interested, but I nominate you.
Wow. Martha, thank you, Ron.
And I second the nomination.
Well, I was going to ask Lisa. Just kidding. So what I do?
We would have a vote, yeah.
Okay.
So I move that we continue to have Mark Patterson as the chair for the commission for the next year.
I second it.
Aye.
Can we have further discussion? Okay, has it been moved in second that the status quo of the chair be affirmed? And to just all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say same. Motion passed.
You said nothing.
I know. Just for the record, I'm gonna put down that nobody asked me my opinion, so.
Do you
So-
accept?
As a,
And will you serve?
it's already a done deal. Thank you, everybody. And, you know, as a native Hawaiian, I know I'm the baby in the group, so I just, I accept the challenge.
No, as a youngest, you're the baby in the group.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. So it's the cultural thing of, yes, I'll accept. Thank you, everyone. I'm gonna bring Christian back up. Is it you? To talk about the budget.
All right.
This is another first.
All right, the budget.
Having a budget.
Yeah. Sorry,
The millennium, right?
and pull it up for myself. So I just wanted to highlight some minor changes for fiscal year 2022. One thing that I had recently learned about is that the salary schedule was put on hold since 2020 due to COVID. And so now, starting in January, my understanding is that that salary schedule will kind of shift back into what it was supposed to be, which means my salary will be raised, which was
Wow.
And we have just heard informally that the salary schedule, it will be put back to normal in December, that it will be one of the last acts that EGA does. But, you know, until that happens, till the fat lady sings, we don't know for sure, but we do have to adjust.
Right. So, but I did adjust the budget numbers just in case it does go through, just to make sure that we are as on track as humanly possible. The only other thing that I wanted to highlight is that the inter-island correctional facility tours, that budget has gone up. And we'll get into why in some of the upcoming items on the agenda. But the big thing is that the commission, specifically Martha, had brought up a fantastic idea of having the commission meetings on the different islands and then touring the facilities afterward. This would give opportunity for people on the different islands to physically attend the meetings if they want to. And then also gives the opportunity for the entire commission to tour as a whole so that, you know, we can all kind of discuss together as a group what we're seeing. So that has been added as well. But I think those were just two main changes in the 2022. And I'm still in budget. I've not, I've not gone over. Moving forward, so I'll just briefly touch on this. So for fiscal year 2024, I'm going to be requesting a pretty large budget increase for the biennium. So for fiscal year 2024, I'm looking at $685,516. For fiscal year 2025, I'm looking at $767,234. And so the reason behind that, the big reason behind that is staff. And so in 2024, I'm looking to hire, oh, you know what, let me back up. So for this year, my apologies, guys. One more thing that I learned was that I don't specifically have to hire a researcher first. I was pretty relieved to learn that. And so for this year, another adjustment is instead of hiring a researcher, I'm actually looking at hiring program reentry specialist. And so somebody who can really, really focus on all of the reentry efforts that are required in X 179 and can really help me facilitate that. So that person hopefully will be hired in the next few months. That position has not been posted, but I will for sure let you all know as soon as it is. For fiscal year 2024, the new staff that I'm looking at hiring is a jail monitor and a prison monitor. So as we know, jail and prisons are significantly different. They have their own set of issues separately. And so I really need staff who can be in these facilities very consistently and recognize those differences between the pre-trial and the post-conviction population. So I'm looking at hiring 2 monitors and then also a research and policy associate. And so this researcher will be helping all 4, including me, all 4 of the professional staff with really navigating all the different connections throughout the island, getting an idea of what the other states in the country have been doing as far as research-wise, and putting together some really solid policy work for not only our office internally, but also as recommendations for the department, recommendations for the court. Yeah, so that's what I'm looking at for that. And then fiscal year 2025, I'm looking at hiring another researcher, again, as some of that support staff, and just to build the office up. And so obviously airfare will go up pretty significantly. I will be requiring all staff to tour all facilities at least once to get an idea of what they're seeing. But ideally, depending on what their position is, the monitors, they're going to be expected to go in significantly more. The reentry folks, they can kind of decide as needed, based on their expertise and how they want to navigate that. But I do want to make sure all staff can get in there, all facilities. So travel will go up. But other than that, I think that is everything unless the commission has specific.
Well, and just to explain to everyone that the budget that we submit first goes to the Attorney General that reviews it, and the Attorney General is allowed to say, I'm not going to approve this amount of money, I'm going to reduce it because they have to balance it with their own. And then it goes to the governor's office and BNF for the final. We expect it could be reduced as it goes through this process. But one thing we have also been informed of, that since the new governor starts the first Monday in December, that the new governor will get what was officially forwarded by the AG, what amount was asked for, and then what was approved by the previous governor. So they will have that available to them. And so there could be an adjustment there at that point taking place.
Yeah, thank you, Martha. That's a huge, huge
Yeah,
point.
just one other comment on that. The governor, the new governor, will be required to submit the budget to the legislature so many days prior to the convening of next year's session. So it's going to be sometime in December, I believe, they have to submit the budget. So the new governor really will not have much time to work the budget. Just a comment. I don't know how obviously how the new governor is going to operate, but I've seen governors in the past who would take a butcher knife to the budget proposals. I've seen governors who would just let it go and then work with the legislature to adjust the budget. So it's going to be interesting.
I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous, but I am going to have all the justifications put in here. They'll be very clear. Those justifications are actually due September 1st, and so I'll be sending all of that to the commission to take a look over in case you want to add or, take out. But yeah, I think those are some of the big things. The only other thing that I did want to make a note about as well is with building the staff. So my office space, and I hope that you can all come visit and check it out. It's a beautiful space. It can be a little tight for, I'd say.
It is tight.
Okay.
But it's on the 16th floor of the state office tower. So the view is beautiful, but it is tight.
Yeah, it's a beautiful space. It is a little tight. And the one thing that I learned about through this process is that state buildings and state offices are very, very limited. And so my concern is that with growing staff, we might have to shift out of that space. And I genuinely don't know if the state is going to have space for us. So to try to combat that early, I've been talking with Correctional Industries to have them come in, map out the space, and see if we can either build cubicles or just have a better design in mind so we can fit as many people comfortably as possible. And so that's all in the budget as well. I think they're actually coming out on Monday to take a look and see what they think. But yeah, so I'll keep you all posted on that too.
Now that we're talking about the budget, this year's budget, of course, we're going to have as of now, an excess. So Ted coming up with the idea of putting aside $100,000 for a consultant. Maybe next meeting, we can really have a proposal on the table as to what type of services we're looking for and what we want to hire, so we have a more in-depth discussion and not just make it generally, but we will have the money in the budget to hire consultants for this year.
That $100,000 might have to come out of next year. Based on the,
Because why?
because I don't have the $100,000 this year. For it.
We'll talk more. I think
Okay.
we will. I don't think you're gonna have it next year.
Okay.
Yeah, let me clarify. I floated that idea because some of these issues that we're trying to take a look at, such as the populations at different facilities, are very, very complex and they're going to be time consuming. And even if we have a staff person who's devoted to reentry, they may not have the time or even the expertise to really delve deeply enough to get a full understanding of what's going on. So these are the areas where we might look for a specialist to come in as a consultant.
Yeah.
So it's just an idea I had.
And I would argue that for this year, we really should be moving forward with this. If we wait until next year, we're looking at way hard into the future of getting this done.
Yeah, I think the hard part is that for me, the office assistant and the program reentry specialist, that alone will take up $248,684, and the budget is $330,000. And so, you know, in order to get all of the office and equipment supplies, in order to get the case management system, the travel, the conference, it's it's just hard.
Okay, you and I can review it some more, but I think there'll be money this year. I really do, because I think there's going to be delay in hiring.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions on the proposed budget, millennium? Did I just say millennium, biennium?
Well, just one more comment. You know, the specific thought I had was somebody to look at the classification system and inmate movements. But I think there were some of you had some great suggestions where we can perhaps work with the department to bring somebody in like Pew or the Vera Foundation or some other like organization to come in at a much lower cost to review this, because I think it's a serious ongoing problem.
And I don't know what type of federal funds are available in this day and age, but that's another thing to look at to see whether from NIC or someplace else there are other funds available.
Yeah.
For oversight.
To augment it.
So I do have two projects based on what you brought up, Ted. And so the bed utilization and classification, and then the other part is the reentry piece, and really trying to figure out where exactly to even start. And so I do have a long list of the different organizations. I do plan on reaching out today. So hopefully people will be able to work with us. I think they understand government funds can be tight. So.
Any questions, Ron?
No, thanks.
I'm thinking that we need to approve the biennial budget proposal.
No, I don't think so yet, because we're not going to be posting that budget. It's a working document.
Right. Okay.
We shouldn't be posting it. I mean,
my thought is there going to be a time frame that the AG is going to be needed that budget?
They need to have our proposal to them by September 1st. So,
okay.
And that's with the justification and stuff, but it's going to go through a reduction, most likely in the AGs. If it survives as 100% of what we're proposing, I'd be shocked.
So what she just shared it right now, it's okay for her to go ahead and just push that forward without any more further thought from the commission.
I believe.
That's what I'm asking.
Lisa, could you answer that question? We have a working document where we're proposing something to the AG. Does that need to take a motion?
What do you want to do? You want to post it, or are you just talking about?
I would say not post it. It's a working document.
My thought is that she's come up with a proposal that we're going to give the Attorney General that they have to consider for their overall budget.
And she gave us a dollar amount.
Do we need to approve that so that she can push it forward?
Yes, I thought you guys had already done that.
No,
We did
this
that
is the
for
biennium.
The biennial.
We did the current budget last time.
Yeah, you're gonna propose it to the AGs as a,
And so just the total dollar amount, we can say we're agreeing with this much for fiscal year 24 and this much for fiscal year 25. So yeah, so give us those numbers.
Okay, so for fiscal year 24, do you want me to just round up or you want these back?
Round up.
Okay, $690,000. For fiscal year 25, and I should note that both of these fiscal years include the $100,000 project. We're looking at 770,000.
Okay. So I move that we support a submission to the Attorney General's office for a budget for fiscal year 24 of $690,000 and for fiscal year 25, $770,000. Anybody second?
Second. Second by Ted.
Any discussion?
Any further? It's been moved by Martha and seconded by Ted for the fiscal year 2024, 690,000, fiscal year 25, 770,000 proposed budget for the Hawaii Correctional Systems Oversight Commission. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say same. Motion passed. Thank you, Christian, for that, all that hard work. Money always gets a little bit quiet in the room. but thank you so much for that. I want to ask Christian to talk about, when we don't have a public meeting, how does the commission get together so we can visit something or a place and tour? What's the legality of it and what we have to do?
Yeah. So bear with us for this next part of the meeting. There are some really specific standards set by state law in regards to what happens if a commission meets together, and specifically if there's 3 or more people. So in order to do these different facility tours, we do have to vote individually. Individually, we have to vote for, the commission has to vote individually for each different facility. And they have to justify the reasoning behind a limited meeting, which means they can all attend and be together, but the public cannot. And so in order for us to do this, we have to go through and vote on the necessity of holding a limited meeting, and also the necessity for a waiver to negate the videotaping requirement. So I believe Martha is going to walk us through. I do have the specific language here. We did this for Fernhurst at the last meeting. Unfortunately, I had given the wrong instructions and the wrong language to use. And so we're doing it again. And we're also adding all of the other facilities. Luckily, we don't have to determine the date right this moment. But I think it would be ideal to kind of figure out that scheduling, how the commission wants to, or when the commission wants to see each of these facilities or where they would like to do their meetings. Because that way I can get going on all the travel documents and requirements that need to be filled out for the flights and everything. So yeah, take it away.
Okay. I move to determine that it is necessary to hold a limited meeting at the YWCA's Fernhurst Transitional Facility because the on-site inspection is necessary and public attendance is impracticable. Second?
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, Mike. The maker of the motion has the right to speak first in a debate. Discuss specific reasons for the on-site inspection being necessary and public attendance being impracticable.
I believe it is necessary because, first of all, this is one of the facilities where women under the custody of the Department of Public Safety are housed under a contract. And it is a small facility, and it just, to bring in the public really would be unnecessary. They do have other methods for other people to see this facility besides coming with us, so I believe it's important that we go as one commission alone. I'm sorry, that was a poor explanation. But thank you. Any other discussion?
Any other discussion?
Well, commissioners, I have been there, and a long, long time ago, my grandmother, who was not in custody, used to go be part of Fernhurst, and our church is catty corner, and I think it's a very healthy, good place, and maybe Narumi could join us. Can we have people join us? The executive director, Martha?
Well, Noriko, being that she is the executive director, Noriko could, of course, be there because she's part of the staff.
Good.
Talking about staff, we're talking about the public joining us.
I understand that.
Okay, Ron, any concerns? Any other concerns?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say same. Okay, passes. Motion passed.
Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the next
Yeah.
one.
Can you do the necessity of waiving the video?
Is that written on here?
Does a
That was
limited,
in the minutes. You said to vote on the necessity for requesting a waiver for the videotape requirement.
Okay.
oh, okay.
We want to make the motion.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion. I move that we, in this limited meeting, that we waive the necessity for videotaping while we're there.
Second.
Second.
Been moved that we waive the videotaping requirement placed upon the commission for the limited visit at Fernhurst. Been seconded by Mike. Any further discussion? I think you mentioned that why we can't videotape, right? Or did we?
I didn't talk about
You
it.
didn't talk about it?
The justification for waiving the videotaping requirement is that there are people that burn it.
Yes, they're, yes.
So they have privacy issues.
Okay. Just the confidentiality of the residents.
So if you didn't hear what Lisa said, Lisa was referring to the confidentiality of the residents who are there. Would be a reason not to videotape.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
I think Lisa said private. Lisa said privacy.
Yes.
Confidentiality of the individuals who may still be under the jurisdiction of the public safety.
Right. I think there's a difference between confidentiality and privacy, though.
It's
So-
privacy.
It's
Yeah.
privacy. Okay. All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say same. Okay, that motion passed. On item 9, thank you for your patience, everyone, as we get through these motions. We're gonna do all of this one time.
One time.
One time.
It's supposed to be one at a time.
We have to go individual facility by facility.
Okay.
But once it's done, it's done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do the same process that we just did with Fernhurst to each of the facilities. As an introduction to the system, Christian and Ted went around and visiting. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna ask for us to go as a group to visit these islands. And since there's gonna be more than 2 of us, we have to ask for this limited meeting or the necessity for us to get together as a group so that we can tour the facilities. Okay. Any questions, you guys? You understand? Same thing what we just did to Fernhurst, we're gonna do for each facility.
And
So just so I understand, legally, what I'm used to, they incorporate by reference to earlier statements, but you want to go one by one, which is time consuming, specific, but maybe necessary.
OIP said it's necessary to go
Yeah.
one by one.
Yeah. Yeah, I did get specific direction from OIP, and they did specify that it's important to go through one by one and really talk about the necessity because one facility I mean, all facilities are different, obviously, and so some of the justification behind it might be different as well. So that's the reasoning they require that.
And I just have one other question. When I make the motion for a limited meeting, do I include in that single motion the waiver of videotaping, or does that have to be a second motion? How about to be safe, we make it a second motion? So for each one of the facility, we're gonna have two motions on them, okay? Okay, the first, I move to, I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Yes, Ron.
The commission is going to visit the site. We're not making any decisions on site. We're looking at the site, which information we may bring back at the subsequent meeting to make decisions on. No active decision making on site.
That's
That's correct.
That's correct, but this still has to be done because quorum is met, and anytime that this commission comes together in a group where there's enough people to meet quorum, so 3 or more in this case, the has to be notified as a part of the sunshine law.
Yeah,
Okay.
But Ron, you are correct. We cannot be doing any decision making at these site visits. Okay, I move to determine that it is necessary to hold a limited meeting at the Hawaii Community Correctional Center because the on-site inspection is necessary and public attendance is impracticable.
I second.
Been moved and seconded that a limited meeting be authorized at the Hawaii Community Correctional Center. Any further discussion?
You need to discuss.
Okay, it seems that I need to discuss. This is a locked facility, a secure facility that the public is not allowed to attend anyway, and so we're not going to have them attend during this meeting or during this site visit. I don't know what else to say.
I mean, the importance of having this site visits is to really get an idea of what's going on inside of the facilities. I think it's extremely difficult to do oversight in general without having that opportunity and being able to discuss it as a whole, and due to the facilities and their specific policies and procedures, it would not be applicable to have the public come in.
But I think also it's important to note the public is not invited in under any circumstances. You have to have an official reason to be going into a correctional facility.
Right.
And we have to be concerned that we do have COVID issues, yeah, in the public as well as in public safety.
We need to move.
So, without any further, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say same. Motion passed.
Okay, the second motion for Hawaii Community Correctional Center, I move that we waive the necessity of videotaping because of privacy issues of those who work and live there.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the waiver for videotaping requirement be voted upon in the visit to the Hawaii Community Correctional Center. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say same. Motion passed.
Okay, I move to determine that it is necessary to hold a limited meeting at the Kauai Community Correctional Center because the on-site inspection is necessary and public attendance is impracticable.
There's a second. Can I hear a second? Second by Ronald. Move that limited meeting be held at the Kauai Community Correctional Center. Any further debate or discussion?
And again, I just say that it is a facility that is not open to the public under any circumstances. And we are going there to learn more so that we can move, so that we can facilitate the work of the commission.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All in favor, say same. Motion passed.
The second motion for Kauai Community Correctional Center is that I move that we waive the necessity of videotaping during our site visit to the Kauai Community Correctional Center.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Martha and seconded by Mike that we have a limited meeting opportunity at the Maui Community Correctional Center.
No, Kauai. Necessity of waiver of videotape.
Oh, waiver of videotaping. I'm sorry, my apologies. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say same. Motion passed.
Okay, I move to determine that it is necessary to hold a limited meeting at the Maui Community Correctional Center because an on-site inspection is necessary and public attendance is impracticable.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We moved and seconded, moved by Martha, seconded by Mike, that we hold a limited meeting with Maui Community Correctional Center. Any further debate?
And a Maui Community Correctional Center is not open to the public under any circumstances anyway.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say same. Motion passed.
So the second motion for Maui Community Correctional Center, I move that we waive the necessity for videotaping requirement at Maui Community Correctional Center during our site visit.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
It has been moved by Martha and seconded by Ron, that we have a hold a limited meeting at the Maui Community Correctional Center. Further discussion?
Wait, the video.
Was that the video?
No, it was Maui.
Maui, yeah.
Sorry.
And that was waiving the videotaping.
For Maui.
Yes.
Yep, for the waiver of videotaping for the Maui Community Correctional Center visit. Any further debate? If none, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say same. Motion passed.
Okay, I move to determine that it is necessary to hold a limited meeting at the Oahu Community Correctional Center because the on-site inspection is necessary and public attendance is impracticable.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Been moved by Martha and seconded by Mike, that we hold a limited meeting at the Oahu Community Correctional Center. Any further discussion?
This is a correctional center that is not open to the public.
I would also just talk about like the importance of the commission going.
Oh,
though,
and
then, yeah.
Yeah, and the purpose of the visit is to further our work as a commission.
All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say same. Motion passed.
And the second vote for Oahu Community Correctional Center, I move that we waive the necessity for videotaping at the Oahu Community Correctional Center site visit.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Martha, seconded by Mike, that we vote on the necessity for waiver of videotaping requirement at the Oahu Community Correctional Center.
And again, the purpose of this is to protect the privacy of both inmates and staff.
All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say same. Motion passed. We almost there.
I move to determine that it is necessary to hold a limited meeting at the Halava Correctional Facility because the on-site inspection is necessary and public attendance is impracticable.
Can I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded by Mike, moved by Martha, seconded by Mike, that we have a limited holding meeting to be held at the Halava Correctional Facility. Further discussion?
And the Halava Correctional Facility is a facility that is not open to the public, and the purpose of the visit is to further our work as an oversight commission.
All in favor say aye.
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 All
Aye.
opposed, same. Motion passed.
Second vote for Halava. I move that we waive the necessity for video taping requirement during our site visit at the Halava Correctional Facility.
Do I get a second?
Second.
Been Martha, seconded by Mike, that we waive the videotaping requirement on the commission at our limited meeting for Halava Correctional Facility. Further discussion?
And the purpose of this is to protect the privacy of the inmates and the staff.
All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, say same. Motion passed.
Okay, I move to determine that it is necessary to hold a limited meeting at the Wyava Correctional Facility because the on-site inspection is necessary and public attendance is impracticable.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and second that the commission have a limited meeting at the Wyava Correctional Facility. Any further discussion?
The purpose of the meeting is to further the work of the Oversight Commission, and it is a correctional facility where the public is not permitted under other circumstances.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say same. Motion passed.
The second vote on Wyava, I move that we waive the necessity for videotaping requirement during our site visits to the Wyava Correctional Facility.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved by Martha and seconded by Mike that we have a limited meeting scheduled for Wyava Correctional Facility. Further discussion?
And the waiver of the videotaping is to protect the privacy of inmate and staff.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Say same. Motion passed.
I move to determine that it's necessary to hold a limited meeting at the Kulani Correctional Facility because of the on-site inspection is necessary and public attendance is impracticable.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Been moved by Martha, seconded by Mike that we have a limited meeting to be held at the Kulani Correctional Facility. Any further discussion?
The purpose of the facility site visit will be to further the work of the commission, and the public is excluded because the public is not permitted to the facility.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say same. Motion passed.
My second motion for Kulani Correctional Facility is that I move that we waive the necessity for videotaping requirement at our site visit to the Kulani Correctional Facility.
Second.
It's been moved by Martha and seconded by Mike that we waive the videotaping requirement at our limited meeting at the Kulani Correctional Facility. For the discussion?
And this is for to protect the privacy of both inmates and staff.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say same. Motion passed.
I move to determine that it's necessary to hold a limited meeting at the Women's Community Correctional Center because the on-site inspection is necessary and public attendance is impracticable.
Second.
Been moved by Martha and seconded by Mike that we have a limited meeting at the Women's Community Correctional Center. Further discussion?
The purpose of the site visit is to further the work of the commission, and the public is excluded from the Women's Community Correctional Center.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say same. Motion passed.
And the second motion for women is I move that we waive the necessity for videotaping at the Women's Community Correctional Center during our site visit.
Is there a second? Been moved and seconded by Martha and seconded by Mike that we waive the videotaping requirement upon the commission and our limited meeting at the Women's Community Correctional Center. Any further discussion?
And this is to protect the privacy of both inmates and staff.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say same. Motion passed.
I need to write a script next time.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you, Martha.
That was hard work.
For the record, all those motion, everything that was passed were unanimous votes. Yes,
Oh, do we need one also for Saguaro?
no.
Not is the entire commission gonna go to Saguaro?
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
We're
then
not
no,
going, yeah, no, we don't need one.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you for your patience on that. Commissioners, let's move to item number 10. Tommy, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here, Mark.
Thanks, Tommy. We're gonna go ahead and see if you have any follow-up on the Saguaro Correctional Center power outage.
I did, but I don't have the specific in front of me. I gave it to Christian. But in short, the power was out for, I want to say 2 days or something. The emergency generators kicked on within an hour, so there was some power in the facility. if I recall correctly. They were able to bring everything back up online. The concern that that Christian had expressed was the 10-hour delay between the power outage and notification to our mainland branch. And in talking to Warden Wheaton about the issue, his staff, the evening staff, wrongfully assumed that because the generators kicked on, that they didn't have to notify public safety. That was wrong. When Warden Wheaton was notified, he immediately notified Howard, our mainland branch administrator, Howard Kamori. Then Howard notified me of the issue. My concern was there any effect to any kind of refrigerated medication and or food or special diets during that time? And the answer was no, all of those. I should note that it wasn't just a power outage at Saguaro, it was a power outage in that region that affected more than just Saguaro. It affected the city of Eloy and the surrounding community as well.
Tommy, I do have a question. We have a contract monitor located in Arizona. And did the monitor keep in touch with you on a regular basis during this time to tell you what's going on?
The monitor wouldn't be in contact with me, Martha, but yes, they would be in contact with Howard because Howard is direct supervisor. And so in this particular case, the power outage happened after she left for the day. And it was the facility's responsibility to notify Howard and to notify her. My understanding is, again, that once Warden Wheaton found out, he immediately notified Howard. And when I spoke to Howard about the issue, I told Howard that they should also notify the contract monitor because she should also be contacting Howard immediately. And I believe when Mark and Christian go down, they'll be introduced to the contract monitor and the staff there as well.
So you think there was regular contact taking place during this time?
I think there was, but I can find out from the mainland branch just to make sure, and I'll get back to you. I can email Mark and he can then send it out to the commission members. But I do know that once Warden Wheaton found out, there was regular contact between Warden Wheaton and Howard back and forth.
Yeah, and I think you can email Kristen rather than Mark.
Okay, that's fine.
I think that you.
Oh, that's right, you're right. I'm sorry. That's right. You have staff now.
Yeah, we have staff, yes.
Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any commissioners have any other questions on that subject for Tommy? Okay, hearing none. We'll move on to number 11. I think last night on the news, Tommy, we were hearing outside in the community, we're up to like 400 positives a day. So how are we doing in the facilities?
So in the facilities, so first of all, right now we only have 3 staff members with active COVID, 948 covered, 73 inmates across the state with COVID, and 5,138 recovered. On the weekly stats or staff testing results, we have 1, 2, 3 current cases.
I'm sorry, Tommy, you're kind of breaking up a bit for us here. So what was that number 5,000? Was that tests that were done?
Recovery.
No, it's recovered. So it was
okay.
5,138 recovered, 73 current active cases.
Are you aware of anybody getting it more than once in the correctional facility?
Yes.
No, but I have to check with Gavin, but I believe yes, but I'm just not sure of the exact numbers.
Yeah, if you can in the future, if you're able to do that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Tommy?
Yes.
Paxlovid, for certain people, the doctors do recommend Paxlovid. Not that the taste is it doesn't taste like ice cream, because I had this virus. I had to take Paxlovid. Is it being at all prescribed for anyone in the facility?
I would have to double check, to be honest with you, Mike, because that's the first time I've heard of this Paxlovid. But I'll check with David Takanaka, our healthcare administrator. It doesn't mean it's not being prescribed, to be honest with you. It's just that I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, for older patients, it's
The
their
president
choice.
got it. Yeah, the president got it.
Okay.
I think I'd be interested, Tommy. I don't know if you folks are considering this statistic. is to really look at the positives that you're getting in your population right now, and finding if they were vaccinated. You know, I know you guys did a good job in vaccinating the population, and I know it was volunteer, but I'll be curious to see how many of them have tested positive, to see if that runs along the same line as those who are in the community who are vaccinated and testing positive as well.
I can ask Gavin for those numbers, or Tina, the person, his nurse who puts them together. Okay, I can do that. And I'll get that information to Christian. So I want to make it clear, you want to know how many inmates who previously tested positive have tested positive again after vaccination.
Yes.
And for Mike's question is the drug, are we prescribing that for inmates in the facilities, right?
And the people who have gotten infected for a second time, it's regardless of whether they were vaccinated or not. So you bifurcate that. Those who are not vaccinated who got it a second time, those who were vaccinated that then ended up getting it.
Okay, I do know that we were very successful with our vaccination and booster incentive initiative, because that's ongoing. The $50 for the initial vaccination and the $25 booster shots.
Okay, thank you.
Tell me how we doing in Arizona. You have any Arizona numbers on COVID?
Let me see what I have so far. So we have 3,001. This is testing, total numbers. Okay. 3,186 tested negative. Total tested positive was 696. Recovered 694. And 2 deaths.
Two
Overall.
since last month.
No, this is the running total.
Oh, okay.
Total.
Okay.
There's 0 positives now there.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Tom.
Yep.
Oh.
Tell me, earlier in the meeting, we mentioned
Electronic medical record.
about the electronic medical record situation at Guayaba Correctional Facility. Would you be able to talk about that right now?
Yep. So a couple things. One, part of the issue of the transfers that Ted mentioned earlier are directly related to the EMR system, electronic record system, because we have to get medical clearances to move inmates from one facility to another one. So now we have to do that manually. So that's kind of a backlog. So that's part of the transfer issue where you saw Guayaba and Kulani, because they're minimum security facilities. That's why you see some open beds, but I'll go into the bed space issue when I cover that, because there's a little more detail in that. But for the medical record system, so what happened was the electronic medical record system went down for a while. We have the system back up, but right now it's back up for read only. And there is a certain period of time in there for data that we can't see yet, that we're trying to work with the vendor so the vendor could recover it. And so once the vendor is able to recover it, if they're not, we'll have to go to someone else for that period that they're unable to recover. And then we'll see if we can get that to read only. And that information might have to be re-inputted into the system. When in talking with ECW, meeting with them, our Deputy Director for Administration met with them a couple of times yesterday and the day before. And prior to that, we've been in discussions with them. We've decided a couple of things happened when they put the system in initially 9 years ago. They put everything on a hard drive, not to the cloud. So now we're moving everything to the cloud. The second thing that happened was periodic updates to the system weren't being done, and now they will be done. And the third thing is that in addition to moving the information to the cloud, we have agreed to pay the vendor additional amount to go through and continually try to recover that data for that missing period. That missing period of information is what Ted alluded to earlier when he talked about the service providers need a complete picture of the person's medical history, and he's correct. So we're trying to recover that data and hopefully get it to the point where we can access it or even get it to read only, so that we are able to access the data so that we can provide the providers the information. So we have 2 different things going at one time. We have an initial temporary fix, which is we set up 2 terabyte H drive, if you will, that only the healthcare staff have access to, where they can input data. Prior to that, they were doing hard copy documents and then scanning it into a folder. So now we have the H drive up and running, and the healthcare staff will be able to input the data into that H drive while we try to recover the data that we can't see yet, but the other data is in the system and it's read-only. So we're trying to approach this on three different tracks. One is to get the vendor to recover the data, put it in the cloud. We have access to the read-only data. And then we have the H drive of 2 terabytes that's up and running now that they can put information into. And we have that information that they already put as a temporary fix that was hard copy documents that were scanned into individual folders. So we've been trying to get this thing fixed. We don't have it, and to be honest with you, as Christian, as the coordinator mentioned earlier, we don't have a set date when the system will be up and running, but it's not from lack of trying on our part and not from lack of due diligence on the vendor's part, because we ended up sending the service to the vendor to recover the data that we could recover to get to read only. Okay. So I hope that helps and not too confusing.
So Tommy, can I ask a follow-up? I don't know if I quite understand. So as far as, I understand that you're trying to recover the data, does the data have to be recovered before giving staff access to the EMR again? Like, I guess I'm not understanding why those have to be separate.
No, they're not separate. So last night, the vendor moved the stuff, moved the data that is accessible to the cloud. So now the healthcare staff, the follower gave it, they should be able to access all that data, you only. The vendor is still on a second track. The vendor is still trying to recover that data for us and put it in a readable form so that the healthcare staff have access to that as well. And that was the data that Ted mentioned earlier that is critically important.
Right, but I'm talking about staff who are in appointments who want to go and document, okay, just saw Mr. So-and-so, here's the issue. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, is there any reason why they can't use the system now? I understand that you're working on the backups too, but do we have to wait for the backups before the staff can have access to that system again in order to put in lifetime note?
I have to double check, but my understanding is that the information that they can access is only read only, and the 2 terabyte H drives that was set up is where they would input data now, as of yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Commissioners, any other questions for Tommy on these matters?
Yeah, Mark, just a question because I keep reading about it. Any monkeypox? Are you guys prepared in case there's this monkeypox thing?
Well, we don't have any active cases now. The Department of Health has set up some sites around the state, I think, to begin monkeypox. I can check with our healthcare division. I'm sure that we probably already requested it, but whether we get it or not will be another story. But I can follow up with the coordinator on one, the question she asked about the connectivity to the system, and 2, about the monkeypox vaccine being available in the facilities.
You know, let's make sure it's in the record. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Any more questions?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Tommy, on that item 11 agenda item. Moving forward to item number 12, discussion of the next steps in the planning of the new Oahu Community Correctional Center. I believe in our last meeting, Tommy, we talked about a partnership between public safety and the Department of College of Architecture in the University of Hawaii. Has that moved forward?
Yeah, we did contact them, and our procurement staff is working with them now to see if we can get a contract with them. Or it's not school architecture, but it's actually some element of that to work with them. So I can provide an update at the next meeting. But yeah, we did make preliminary contact. I did talk to Max about that. I can give you an update at the next meeting, or even prior to that, I'll give it to the coordinator where we stand. I have to follow up with Mark, our procurement person, to see where we are. But I do know we did make contact with them because we had set up a Teams meeting with them here.
Is it safe to say once that those issues are all resolved, is it when we can be in more community involvement, or however that's going to be worked out, so that we can have people can have discussions with you folks?
Yeah, they'll be doing the outreach to the community. So what we would do is provide them the contact information to the commission, and then the commission, if you have further outreach for interested parties, then you would share that information with them. Unless you have a list of those interested parties, and we can provide that to the School of Architecture. That's not a problem.
Okay, Tommy.
I have a question, Mark. Tommy, do you have a timeline for getting this project off and running?
Honestly, Ted, no, I don't. But I can when I inquire, I can find out about that too. Try to get an estimate of when would they be up and running and starting to make the community contacts to start setting up meetings.
The reason I think that it's important is because we had previously discussed the upcoming legislature and the budget, and if the department intends to resubmit your request for monies to do the RFP, I think it's going to be critical to get the community input before the legislative session, so we don't have a replay of what happened this past session.
Okay, I do think that we are going to go in and request $15 million. And I will, as part of the follow-up with the coordinator, I'll get the timeline and give that, because we have to provide the request for funding. I'm sure it's going to be prior to whenever they have the first community outreach meeting. So we have to make that request and put it in. But I'll stress that to them that the commission's concerns about getting the meeting up and going as quickly as possible for outreach.
Mark? Mark, this is Bob.
Thank you.
Yes, Bob.
If I could just chime in on that. Yesterday, or the day before yesterday, I got an email from Max that said, and I'll read it to you. It says, memorandum of understanding is being signed, and I expect that CDC it's a community design center, will be reaching out to potential partners during the month of September. I have included Kristen Johnson as part of the group. We will have to see who wants to participate and at what level. That's what Max said a couple of days ago.
Thank you, Bob. Okay. Anybody else? Commissioners, any other commissioners have any comments at this time? Hearing none, I'm
Mark?
Yes,
Mark?
go ahead, Mike.
We're on record about the doing away with cash bail. The law that passed, but it was vetoed. We're on record that we need to really slow walk any new jail. So I just want to make sure that I don't know if we're at loggerheads or we're going to be cooperating with public safety. And I think hopefully it's a cooperation. Am I off on that, Mark?
No, you're not, Mike.
In our previous discussions, Mike, what we talked about, our difference with public safety is not, we agree with the need for a new facility. We do not contest the location of the new facility. It is the size and the makeup of the new facility. And I'm hoping that this contract that they're doing with the university now will help bring those issues to the fore and help frame those issues.
You're muted, Mike.
Mike,
philosophy, transformative justice, and we looked at what Bob submitted, Las Colinas in California. There are some very good models out there that we don't have to, I don't think we're flying blind on this.
Okay, this has been a lengthy discussion for the past couple of years, and so where we at now with that, we have Christian here. We're going to ask of her to just continue to initiate more intimate conversations with public safety, so that we can exactly know where we can fit in and instill some of our passion and hopes in what the facility, or how we can move the facility project forward in a manner that would be acceptable with the community as well as all who are involved at this time. So that's continuing work, and hopefully by the next meeting we can have some kind of report from Christian on where her conversations with public safety is in terms of their project with the new jail. Okay. Okay. Item 13. Discussions of, is there any discussion of mental health programs, restrictive housing procedures at the Department of Public Safety? This is an item that we normally have on our agenda. Any concerns at this time from the commission?
Well, Christian already brought up from a visit a concern about observing those who are on suicide watch, which is a big concern. And then the second one, of course, if they didn't have access to the medical records, I'm presuming that the mental health information was also in that system, and that could have a very negative impact on it. So those are two issues that I would see. I don't know what, Tommy, what Kristen brought up about doing the observation in the mental health units where people who are on suicide watch getting watched often enough. Are you folks looking at that, addressing that?
Well, okay, we have a policy on the suicide watch for both safety watch, suicide watch. So it's the same policy, but in short, for suicide watch, it's 1 staff to 6 inmates. And we have a guard watcher system for every 5 minutes. They're supposed to
physical
guard watcher system. But let me finish. I put out an email to the staff, to the wardens a few weeks ago, and I reiterated that this morning, that in addition to the guard watcher system, that the correctional staff should be actually looking in the cells on the person every 5 minutes for the suicide watch. And then for the safety watch, it's 1 inmate to any number, it's 1 staff to any number of inmates, and it's every 15 minutes. And just as with suicide watch, all the observations are to be logged in the logbook that's there, and or the sheet that's on the door, the observation form that we have on the door. So the policy, correctional policy 10-1G-.05 suicide prevention is a solid policy, and providing the staff to follow what they're supposed to do in the policy. I don't know if that addresses the question or not, but the policy does not have continuous observation of everybody on suicide watch. I'll give you an example. Earlier in the meeting, someone, I think it was Christian, mentioned that there were like 10 people at OCCC on suicide watch. Well, at one point a few weeks ago, we had a little over 20 people on suicide watch, and some of the offenders are using that to manipulate their housing. But because they indicated self-harm, we had to put them on suicide watch, and then the policy applied, got them reviewed seen by mental health. So we don't have the staff if we have 20 people on suicide watch to do one-on-one. And continuous, we just don't.
I'm surprised you had to remind the wardens that the 5-minute check meant a physical check as opposed to just sitting there going, oh, they're still in their cell, they haven't come out.
It wasn't the wardens. I sent it to the wardens and for their chiefs of security, but it was for them and their leadership staff to make sure that they're walking the floor in the suicide and safety watch units to make sure the staff are doing what they're supposed to do. Because in the end, it comes down to the line staff getting up off their butt, doing the checks that they're supposed to do, and the intervals they're supposed to do.
And it's not just the line staff, it is their supervisors to ensure they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Right, and that's what
But you can have all the policies in the world, but if they're not followed, what good are they?
That is correct.
Can I add in? Okay. So Tommy, I want to be clear. I don't think that staff were breaking the policy. I just have concerns about there not being constant supervision over suicide watch. I understand that's not what the policy requires. That doesn't negate my concern about it though. So one thing that I want to let you know that I plan on doing on my end, and I know that we briefly talked about this before, but I am going to reach out to the state of Michigan. They had implemented a program in their prison system where it's actually people in custody who are doing the constant watch. And so it's people in custody who are sitting directly in front of the cells. They're paid a great amount. They have to have a copious amount of training to even be approved. It's a very, very specific system, but the benefit of it is they track every 15 minutes in a log what's been going on for the past 15 minutes. Officers are still doing their 5-minute tours. It doesn't take away from that. It just adds to it to kind of ensure that people just don't have that opportunity to get to that point. I'm also going to be meeting with the union to kind of talk to them about this as well, just to make sure that there's no concerns and that there's a really straightforward understanding that, again, this is not taking away or doing officer jobs for them. They would still be expected to do what the policy requires of them. This is just to add to it, to take away the burden of, in between the 5-minute tours, heaven forbid something happens. With that, I'm actually hoping to maybe work with Mark and his connections to incorporate the peer support specialist groups that are coming out and getting a lot of training. These are people who are previously incarcerated who I think are really interested in helping those who are incarcerated, and so looking into that as well. And so I just want to bring that up because I genuinely don't think that it's a matter of staff not caring or staff not doing their tours. I think they very much do care. I think it's just a matter of, you have a lot of people with serious mental health problems in these facilities and you only have so many staff. And so, it's not that, again, I don't think staff's doing something wrong. I just would really be interested in looking into more resources to kind of help them out.
Yeah, I agree. And we do care about the people in our custody and care of the inmates. And you're right, it comes down to staffing. Just bottom line.
Yeah.
Just one final question, Tommy. I like the fact that you folks put in a system where we can assure that the officer is in front of that door every 5 minutes. And knowing some of the suicide posts in the big facilities, are those same officers still sitting in front of TV monitors as well?
Well, two things. The monitor is at the, if I'm not mistaken, the monitors are at the centralized station there in the housing unit.
Yeah.
The corrections officer is sitting near the cells. So if somebody is watching the same person that's watching the monitor is not necessarily the same person that is sitting in front of the door.
But both are happening at the same time.
Both are happening simultaneously. Right, Carol.
Thank you, Tommy.
If I can I touch on the issue of the inmate transfers Ted brought up earlier, because that is a critical issue.
Please.
But particularly like Kulani and Wayaba being about half of where they could operate. So I've ordered the institution division administrator to add, and for security reasons I can't disclose the date of the flight, but I ordered them to add an additional flight to the mainland to take primarily to bring minimum security inmates back that qualify, that are within 36 to 48 months of their TPD, where we can finish the programming here and try to plug them into the programming around the same point they were if we pull them out in Arizona, so they don't have to redo the programs here. I did notice that we were sending more inmates up than we were bringing back. So I ordered the additional flight. That additional flight will take place sometime between now and the end of October. Somewhere between there's about 140, and I could have the numbers a little bit off, about 140 minimum security inmates up there now. Some of them are lifers whose TPDs are way out, so they won't be coming back. But those that are within a certain amount of their TPD and are minimum custody, we're bringing them back. With respect to the classification issue, that while we have a lot of inmates at higher level of custody than maybe the norm, I think what you have to understand is that a lot of those classifications are due to misconduct. And so they cannot necessarily go to the minimum security facilities unless we do a classification override to prematurely lower the classification level to move them to minimum security. So,
but it may be actually doing a new classification system if it is being driven or primarily by misconducts. That's one thing as a department. Do we need to keep them at a higher level for how long? And number one, do we need to put them on a higher level? Number two, how long will they be on that higher level? So there's a lot of things that we can do with classification. We overclassify.
Right. I think when we looked at this, well, I wasn't here at the time, but prior to 2010, there was a study or review done in the classification system, and a new classification or an updated classification system was put in sometime around 2012. At that time, the old classification system was time driven. So that meant that, I'll give you an example. And this is something we're going to change here.
Yeah, I understand.
Someone who gets convicted of escape 2 is a 5-year sentence, Class C felony. The policy says the person can't move to a minimum security facility for 7 years. That makes no sense to me. Right. You don't give the person any hope whatsoever. If they can't move to do the programming, then why shouldn't they become a management problem for you? Right? So we're going to look at changing that down. We did a national review, and the national review says it's really about 35 to 36 months of when they're at the high and then they're way down. We'll have to norm that to our population. But those are some of the things we're looking at that we disagree with, because it looks like it's just been that way because it's been that way for a long time. I don't disagree, Martha, that we need to take a look at the classification system again. I think it's a good idea. I think when we do, if we do get the money for this review, I think when we do this and come to find us as leaders to move those inmates to the facilities that they matches their classification level as soon as possible.
Okay. I think the plane coming back from Arizona is a good first step, Tommy.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, I have, and Tommy, I noticed on the spreadsheet that 59 of the inmates that are on the mainland are parole violators. And I'm wondering what kind they are. I mean, I'm aware that some parole violators, they didn't get charged with a new crime, but the violation was very, very great. I mean, I know one guy was violated more than 10 years ago, and I'd be surprised if he gets out before he dies. But what are those 59 people like? I don't expect you to know this off the top of your head, but that's definitely a group that should be looked at for bringing back. Some will not come back.
Well, I can tell you this, a lot of that hinges on when the parole board revokes parole, they revoke parole and they may schedule another hearing, it's at their discretion. 6 months down the line, a year down the line, they might take 5 years down the line. The person can always request an earlier parole hearing, but that next parole hearing date is driven by the HPA. So if you want us to take a look at that 59 people, we can, and give Christian a general idea of the link between violation and the next parole hearing. Because to be honest with you, we shouldn't be sending people to the mainland if they're revoked and the parole board's going to see them next year. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
If the parole board revokes them, they're going to see them in 5 years, then it makes a little more sense.
Yeah, I realize that. It's just, yeah, I'm concerned with so many parole violators being up there.
Okay, you want us to take a look at those 59? We will.
Yes.
We'll do. Thank you.
Mark, I think Bob had his hand up. I'm not sure.
Hold on. I just want to thank you, Tommy, for everything that you said today. I'm really excited because, there was a time when we would have these discussions and not knowing what we're going to do when we leave. But I have Christian next to me and I'm writing notes to her, telling her, this is where we got to go with that. This is where we got to go to that, so that there's continuing conversation. And I'm glad that you're talking about those conversations that you're already having with her and reporting out as well. So I appreciate that, Tommy, as we begin to learn and get better at this relationship. Yeah.
Cracking the whip, I can tell you that.
We're all learning. We're all learning right now.
And we shouldn't be calling on Bob. The public should not be.
Yeah.
The commissioner should be participating.
Yeah. We're just going to go.
Have my hand.
Excuse me?
Thank you. I did not have my hand up.
Oh, we're just going to go ahead and move to item 14, if you folks remember, to the final public comments to the commission at this time. Yes, Kat?
Aloha. I just wanted to underscore how excited I am that the legislature finally passed the fix to Act 179, and it became and it became Act 016 on April 27th. Every year I have been banging on them. Please fix this big error in this bill. So I wanted to announce that that passed, and I'm really excited. And another bill that passed was a family visitation and resource center at Wyava. And that got funded with all the money that we asked for. And I hope that it actually gets released. But that is something that actually looks at as incarceration rather than as one person, but families and communities. So this is really awesome. And I just wanted to thank you guys.
Kat, what's the act number on the family visitation?
125.
Thank you.
Thank you for
And
being,
congratulations, Kat, for doing that.
Yay!
okay, Bob?
First, I'd just like to thank Ted. I'm so glad that he went along with Kristen over to see all these facilities. I thought his observations and insights, particularly with respect to the conditions at all the facilities, were really insightful and helpful, and something to think about a lot about and do something about. I think it's worth noting that there's concern that the women's facility is going to be too big. I can tell you for sure the new jail is going to be too big. We overbuilt the federal detention center. It's got hundreds of beds that have never been used, and we overbuilt Kapolei. I mean, is there a pattern here? I think there is. If you look closely, we are not doing this carefully and in a smart way, and we're causing a lot of trouble in every respect, including for taxpayers. And in terms of Ted's remark and observation that all of the facilities look like they're overcrowded, at least some of them do. I mean, the main ones, you know, I think in your capacity as part of the Population Management Commission, that it would be wise to ask in terms of pretrial detainees, the judiciary, why would it be that we have unsecured bail law, that it was passed in 2019, and of the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who have stood before judges looking for bail, not one single person has, to my knowledge, has ever qualified for bail under that statute that was passed 4 years ago. And how can that possibly be? And why don't we have that to reduce our jail population, particularly as Steve Alm and the Waikiki people want to put more and more homeless people into our jails. And if you look at the pretrial population of OCCC, you can see what I mean. It's going up. In terms of the overcrowding, too, I think, you know, we don't have a master plan, and that's something we ought to consider. I mean, we keep tinkering with these facilities, building this, building that, renovating this, but there's no master plan to bring people home and to update the facilities, all of which are old and need to be fixed. And finally, with regard to the suicide, I appreciate what everyone's saying about we have to watch the prisoners more carefully. But if you look at really what was one of the major issues in the Joey O'Malley suicide and the findings of the expert and the court, it was that he wasn't getting the right medication either. The doctors were not behaving appropriately. That was part of the negligence. They were using second and third generation drugs on our inmates. And I think that's something that we need to look into. It's not just watching them, it's making sure they have the right medical care while they're incarcerated and while they're in suicide watch or safety watch. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, for bringing that up. Appreciate that. Seeing no other digital hands or other hands, we're looking, I think, on our schedule.
Mark, I have one question, sir.
Yes.
This is for Kristen. Kristen, do you know who each warden or acting warden is and chief of security? Do you have a roster?
I don't have a specific roster, but I can definitely get one.
Yep. I mean, at a minimum, I think the commission needs to know. I don't know. I mean, I understand privacy, confidentiality, but I don't think that should be a secret that the warden and chief of securities, and I need to know because they're the head coach. They're the leader. they're setting the tone, they're walking the property, and yet when they don't show up to see the parole board, or they just don't show around, then I worry, because I like to see the head coach.
Okay. Yep, I will get with Tommy and make sure that I have all the right people down. And then I will send that out to the commission. No problem.
Thank you.
September 15th is the next scheduled commission's meeting, everyone. We're gonna put a question mark to that, Lisa. We're gonna be in Texas that week.
Yeah, so make it the week after.
Me and Christian, is the commissioners okay with us the following week, Thursday? Or we and Christian was thinking about having it during the conference, but it would be easier, I think, if we move it to the 4th Thursday.
Yeah, I think it would be easier for all of us.
Which is the 22nd. Are the commissioners, are you okay with that?
I'm good.
I'm good.
22nd, I have a state ethics training in the morning, 10 to 11:30 for all state. I think us too. This
Yeah.
is for us.
I already did mine.
Yeah, I did mine
Oh.
too.
Is that something that you can change, or that we all have? That's that email you sent out, right?
Yeah, one. Yeah. Lisa sent out for ethics training for commissioners.
Okay.
I think the next one, because the first one I missed, I think it was in July, right? The first one or something.
Yeah,
Or
I already
August.
did it. Yeah.
What about the 8th?
There should be additional trainings if you want to change it. Yeah.
There may be additional trainings, Ron, other than the 22nd, if that's possible. Lisa will get that. We can have Christian send us the information. But
Yeah.
okay. Let's plan for the 22nd then, of August, September, for our next commission meeting, and we'll get you that information on the next ethics class.
Okay.
Ted, you good?
I'm good.
Okay. Well, it's almost 11:25. I can talk some more so we can make it to 11:30, and then we'll say it's officially 2.5 hours. But wow, what a lot of stuff today, yeah, guys?
Yeah.
Good
A lot
job.
of information.
And I think in the future, we should be looking at putting 3-hour blocks aside for these meetings.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that was a lot of information. Thank you, Christian. So happy to be able to have staff now, and with all the information that was put out together, I really have a good feeling that, we're gonna start moving. Yeah, really positive, with just 1 month on the job. All the things that she's done and she's seen and what she's getting together, and the relationship that we're building with public safety on daily matters. So thank all of you who, been in this journey for the last decade. And we're today's
For the last 30 years.
For the last 30 years, it's kind of exciting to be here right now to see the potential of what can happen in the years to come. So thank you all for wanting to put up with me again for another year.
Yay.
And I'm
Chair?
looking forward to coming back to Texas with not only with a southern drawl, but with some more information in my head on oversight. Go ahead, Kat.
I just wanted to say, Kristen has not just been meeting with staff and facilities. She actually attended the Going Home Reentry Commission meeting on Tuesday. It was amazing. The feedback from the people, the one word that resonated through the whole thing is, wow, we feel hopeful. So that's awesome. Thank you, Kristen.
We need to connect her with Maui too, yeah, Kat?
Yes.
Okay. And then we'll yeah. All right, everybody.
Carrie Ann can help with that. Maui. Carrie Ann.
Thank you, Paul, for being here. We look forward to seeing you again, and we'll see you at the next meeting. Aloha.
See ya.
Thank you. Aloha, Mark.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
I just want to show you, this is how the law read when it was
here,
passed.
let me have that.
Oh. Get us out of here.
Thanks, Ron.